our government cannot close down churches. It cannot. It's sworn to protect the freedom of religion.
That there has been a significance in including the freedom of religion as a fundamental right in the Constitution.
Yes.
And we have to give it to the Constitution of Kenya for upholding and protecting. And what we are witnessing in the country right now is a reverse. It is not the government infringing the rights. It is the receivers of the rights going overboard.
People have to respect people's faith. Even if you find somebody worshiping a tree or worshiping under a tree, that is, you know, their freedom.
Religion is the opium of the masses, as it distorts reality and numbs the pain of the proletariat oppression. Karl Marx. And that was 178 years ago. And today, just where is the perfect balance between religion, the government, the masses, the constitution, and the state? Join me in this conversation today. You're much welcome. Very good to have you, CJ. Once a CJ, always a CJ.
Yeah.
You're well?
Yeah, I'm good.
You're looking sharp.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. Yeah,
I appreciate so much for making time for us today.
And I'm retired. I have plenty of time.
And I'm not gonna ask what you're doing, because I am awed by how you are invested in the youth of this country. I see you supporting the organizations. You're here today, and we appreciate you for that. And yeah, that's it. And you chose this topic, the freedom of religion.
Yeah.
Why this topic?
Because I think I wanted to basically do a topic that is current, and a topic that is also well reflected in our constitution.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And talk about it so that people who haven't read the constitution and what the constitution says about religion, you know, can get an idea of how progressive our constitution is, you know, on these, particular issues. And of course, I've chosen it also because we are very religious people.
We are.
Okay.
We are.
We have many religions, including African religions.
Yes.
And I also know that religions can be a basis of conflict, just like ethnicity. So peace for me is very, very, very important. Respecting people's faiths for me is very, very, very important. I don't like people who play God. And tell you, if I tell you I'm a Muslim, you say, oh, what religion is that? You go to hell, you know.
Yeah. Intolerance.
Intolerance, that's a word, you know. So tolerance in religion is important.
Very important.
And you know, in history records that the most tolerant religions have been the traditional ones. The
History
traditional,
records that?
Yes, African traditional religions. You go to West Africa, you find that the Muslims went there, and there were the African traditional religions did not attack them. They tolerated them, and they allowed them, you know, to talk about, you know, their religion. When you look at the case of Kenya, those who came in, the Christians and so forth, write about how they were received by Africans and the African religions, and they were not actually told to leave. Okay, but instead they turned around and called our religions satanic. Okay, they demean them, they demean our cultures and so forth, and it was part of colonialism.
Yes.
So the Constitution puts African religions where they should be. It's a faith, it's a belief, it's a freedom, of religion, which is very, very, very good. The Constitution really, when it talks about the freedom of conscience, belief, religion, and opinion, it covers everything. You can go and worship under a tree. You have that right. You can worship the devil if you want. That's freedom of religion. You can say, like Harrison Mumia, who is the president
of the Atheist Association.
Yes, you can say we don't believe in religion. I've debated him again and again, telling him that he has to respect other faiths, not to attack them. His is just a belief.
It's a belief, like
it's an opinion. Yeah. So I say when you keep on attacking the Christian faith, the Muslim faith, the Hindu faith, and by implication also the African religions. That's not what the Constitution says.
Exactly.
Because in some other countries, you can't say you're an atheist. You go to Saudi Arabia and say you are an atheist. You either be killed or you get into trouble, because that's a theocracy. They have only one religion. Mm-hmm. And you are not allowed to practice anything else. So what I'm saying is, and that is Article 32 of the Constitution, I'm saying, as a country, our Constitution is very progressive on the issue of religion, because there is a history of African religions being undermined, the history of other religions coming in, Hindu, Islam, Roman Catholicism, Protestants, and now evangelicals, prosperity gospel, and traditional religion is still there.
It's still there. And on to that point, that means that there has been a significance in including the freedom of religion as a fundamental right in the Constitution.
Yes.
And we have to give it to the Constitution of Kenya for upholding and protecting. And what we are witnessing in the country right now is a reverse. It is not the government infringing the rights. It is the receivers of the rights going overboard. How do we go, two questions there. How do we get to this point where there is that balance of the government protecting the rights and also the balance of preventing discrimination and extremism? And what is the vision of the Constitution on the freedom of religion?
It's first of all, you have to realize that when you talk about the government operates on delegated sovereign power from us.
Yes, the people.
Okay? That's why the Constitution, when we look at the preamble, it says, we the people. And you go to Article 2 and says that the sovereign power rests on the people. And we delegate it, to Parliament, to the judiciary, to the institutions and whatnot. And by implication, we can withdraw it. Okay, there are a lot of provisions about recalling MPs, impeaching presidents, removing judges, and Article 168. So people are sovereign, and that supremacy is very, very, very important. Okay, so when we come to religion, and I've talked about the vision of the Constitution.
The Constitution.
Okay?
Yes.
Is that the citizens themselves, have to breathe life into the provisions of the Constitution. We form a new culture where I respect you as a Christian, where you respect me as a Muslim, we respect the Hindus, we respect the atheists, the humanists, agnostics. There are even some people called secularists, people who believe in various religions, not just one, like me. And so that's the culture we are going to, grow. A culture of tolerance, respect to to other faiths. And also interfaith dialogue, where we can actually talk about how to coexist and how to tolerate each other.
Yes, because society is fast changing.
Yes.
And there are new emerging issues every other day.
Yes.
If we do not get to a point of tolerance, then it's going to be hectic.
Yes.
How are we going to live with our brothers and sisters?
Yeah, yeah. So I still, the anchor myself is the African religion. The African religion has always been tolerant. It didn't attack other faiths. It's the one that actually had to be on the defensive all the time, because African religions were being called satanic and whatnot and whatnot. And that's the history, of it. So this interfaith dialogue, interfaith tolerance, respect for other people's faith is very, very, very important. And that's why people kill in the name of faith, right? So people have to respect people's faiths. Even if you find somebody worshiping a tree or worshiping under a tree, that is, their freedom.
Yes.
And they have to be that coexistence. And we have to watch for politics that divide us on the basis of religion, because they are.
Yes.
They are.
Yes. And talking about the government regulation in accordance to the Constitution, we've seen with the current issues what is happening. Someone comes up and says today, I am Jesus. It's the same way I would wake up tomorrow and say, I am Mary, so worship me. Now, where do we get? The government should come in. You've seen in Rwanda, churches, about 170 churches have been closed down, and mosques have been closed down, because we need the regulation of this religion.
Yeah, but Rwanda that example is contrary to our constitution, for example.
But there needs
our
to
government
be the regulation.
Our government cannot close down churches. It cannot. It's sworn to protect the freedom of religion.
With the limits and in the wake of the extremisms.
The limits, and I think that's where Ruto was right when he was talking about the cults. President Ruto, when he said these cults are criminal, they are not religions. Okay? So we've got to be very, very clear about the crimes that are committed in the name of a religion. And that's where the government now can come in. All right? That's where the government comes in.
But before it comes in, how do we prevent it? By looking at these people, these leaders, are they in a moral place, and are they professionally placed to lead people?
That's the Rwandese thing, which I find is against our constitution.
Is it against our constitution?
It's against our constitution.
How do we protect the people?
Because you see, when you look at the constitution, okay, and you give people, the freedom of worship, okay, they are going to attend caches, they are going to go to prophet of wars, they are going to go to these other people and so forth, okay? What we have to watch for is the criminality that is involved. If you form a church to swindle people, okay? If you start, preaching hatred, which might create issues and so forth, the state, the office of the deputy public prosecutor and the investigators are the ones who are supposed to. This is the control we are talking about. Where were they when Mackenzie was doing what he was doing? Where were they when this guy, Ezekiel or whoever? All right?
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And when that happens, that's when the government step in, okay? But they cannot stop under our constitution the association.
Don't they have? Does it have to happen, CJ? Does it have to happen because when Ezekiel is out there, when Mackenzie was out there radicalizing his followers, the government didn't know what was going on.
What do you mean the government didn't know what was going on?
But now, at the point of the formation of these churches, is it not now time to look at it at the point of formation? You want to form a church, then you should have maybe a degree in theology. You should have
That's the Rwanda stuff. That's Rwanda
Don't you
stuff.
think it's a good idea to bring it to
Yeah. I don't think that you need a degree in theology because you are going to kill traditional religions when you put in those conditions. If I want to start an African church and I don't have a degree, then you are denying me the freedom of worship, freedom of association, okay? So let's not give governments the right or the arguments to deny you and I, forming a church. I want to form an interdenominational space myself, but I have read the Bible backwards and the Quran, but I don't have a degree in theology. So what you are telling me is, if I was in Rwanda, they say, where did you study?
Yes.
And that is demeaning what I call self-education. There are a lot of people who read the Bible and understand it.
But they're going to the extent of manipulating people.
They are not manipulating. There are a lot of people who read the Bible for its great values. They read the Quran for its great values.
Are you looking at it can you look at it from the other side of the masses now? Yeah. Leave alone these people who want to open churches. What about the masses who can be easily manipulated by these people?
That is also, and we talked about this, about why are masses manipulated.
Yes.
Okay, we talked about that. And you said it's desperation. Okay? And there are various reasons why the masses can be manipulated. If you are desperate and somebody is talking to you about heaven, okay, as the churches do, when you listen to sermons, it's always God will do this for you.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And when you look at it, God is blameless. Mm-hmm. Okay, if people will tell you that God will get you a job, okay, who is supposed to get people jobs in this country? Is it God?
It's not God. It's yourself.
It's not God. It's not God. Why are we blaming God for poverty, for lack of free education, lack of universal health care? Why? Why? God is not blameless. It's the human beings that we should look at. Mm-hmm. It's our government that we will look at and ask ourselves, why are the hospitals not treating people? Mm-hmm. Why are the kids of poor people not getting, to school? Mm-hmm. Why are people not getting jobs? There are root causes, and these root causes mm-hmm. are caused by human beings, and they are not caused by God. Mm-hmm. So human beings have been very... I listen to sermons, okay, people are sick, people have no jobs, and somebody is praying so that God gives, I want God to give us something that human beings can't give us. Okay? And if people are violating, if people are stealing our resources, if people are not paying taxes, and we allow them, okay? And we obligated to obey the IMF, the World Bank, and whoever else so that we cannot control food prices, we cannot control fuel prices and so forth, all right? There is a cause which is human.
It's human.
It's human. And we've got to, to focus on that, because even these people who, you say quite rightly, that they can mislead the masses and so forth. It's true, all right? But it's that desperation. If there was no poverty, or if people saw that the country is developing towards fulfilling their material interests and so forth, religion will have to change to start talking about the good values of the religion. Thou shalt not steal, don't kill. And Jesus and Muhammad and others will become the role models that they should be. Okay? But these days, it's Jesus Christ. Somebody tells you Jesus Christ should be your Lord and Savior. But Jesus Christ, as God or Son of God, or as a human being, has such great values. That is what we need to be talking about. We need to be talking about Jesus' position on poverty, Jesus' position on sin, okay? Jesus' position on rich people, Jesus' position on taxes, okay? Jesus' position on women, okay?
Yes.
So and you get that in Muhammad, you get that in Buddha, you get that in other people.
Okay.
So if we see these as role models, okay, and Jesus was human, okay, so why not follow his teachings and not blame God, and not ask God, to solve. Yeah, it's these human beings who are gods. If you become president, for example, of a country like this, and those who are in leadership, in the political leadership and so forth, why haven't they realized that they shouldn't play that card? You shouldn't tell a poor person that God will provide. That's not God. You have the resources. You are stealing the resources. You are misusing the resources. You are wasting resources.
God has given you so much power to be the God of yourself, to take yourself out of these situations.
So for me, what I was saying is, I look at Rwanda and say, when you see dictators curtailing freedom of religion, it's because they are threatened by it. They see churches and mosques becoming centers of resistance against. That's what it is.
That is very, very, very interesting to hear from you.
Yeah,
because I really thought.
Do the research, because again, these people are very clever. Okay, I can turn if I was in power, I can easily turn against all the religions here and close them down. So your thought is that do not regulate the churches, let them sprout out. Do not regulate mosques. The churches are regulated. Religion. The churches are regulated because they are registered under the Societies Act. They should not be closed down? The rogue churches? The rogue churches have said, when you call them rogue, it's because they have either violated some laws, or they have conned people. They have been engaged in criminal enterprise, and those there are laws that don't protect them. Okay, and that's a separate. It's a very, very separate issue. Okay, because when you look at our religions, the ones that are doing those kind of stuff are attacked by the others openly. The Roman Catholic Church attacks them, the Anglicans, the Methodists, the PCA, they don't believe in that kind of thing. All right? In fact, my view is that churches should also be taxed. Yes. Okay? Yes. They should be taxed. They should pay taxes. Don't churches pay taxes right now? I don't think so. I saw in the case of Ezekiel they said his church was filing, returns, but I would like to see those returns. What are they for? Because churches are not tax. You remember that discussion was sparked off by the former Attorney General, my friend Githu. Yeah, he said, he was very progressive. He said churches should pay taxes.
But it was shut down.
Immediately, Uhuru heard that. He told him, shut up. Okay? Because there's this connection between the religious organizations and the politicians.
Politicians, yes.
Okay?
Yes.
In fact, that, for me, those are the connections that we need to sever. Okay? Those are the ones that we need to be very, 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 very careful, about. Because religion, ethnicity, they also use politics of division.
Yes.
Okay? And if a particular organization like a church is into business, they are running schools, they are running hospitals, they should pay taxes. Unless they can show us that that money that comes from the business goes to evangelize. Okay, and not to buy their jets and whatever else they do with the money. Whatever it's, prosperity gospel is something else. So these are the issues we are discussing, because I think they have to be debated so that they don't become conflictional, so that they don't create strife.
Yes.
Among
and people
religions.
Don't feel included also.
And I think that if what you call rogue churches, they can be policed. They start. What is the use of the intelligence? If I start a church and I'm asking for registration, they do background research, and they should be following. And the moment a particular church becomes criminal,
yes,
either killing people, or preaching something that is totally criminal,
yes,
you close them down. Those ones those ones are, and if you have what you're calling extremism and radicalization, in my view, have never known which part of the law they use, okay? But I see this as, preaching which is an anti-people, or which is creating divisions between people, or if it's part of a hate speech, where you're saying a particular community is this and so forth. And if you go that way, there's going to be strife, religious or ethnic or whatever. Okay? So there is a lot of provisions in our penal code and, criminal justice to deal with, with those people. But I don't want a situation where the government can wake up and completely abolish, freedom of worship. Or basically saying atheists shouldn't exist, or African traditions shouldn't exist, okay? Or the Muslims shouldn't exist, or the Roman Catholics, or whatever. It will kill this country, all right? Because we have to realize that religion has great values.
Yes, that's true.
Okay, about coexistence, about tolerance, about love. And when they talk about the heaven, they should be talking about the heaven on earth, but still have no problems with that. But it's a lot. If it's the 10 Commandments, you look at the 10 Commandments. So if you look at Jesus as a role model in religion for Christians, if we became the role model, if Christ became our role model in our values as individuals, we will be a great nation. Because there is nobody who will be, everybody, those who are leaders are carrying the Bible, and they are very hypocritical when they they quote it. So, so for me, I see our constitution, and I haven't seen any other constitution that is that progressive in terms of saying faith is important, opinion, conscience, religion is important. But it also says that stay, in your space.
Yeah,
the moment you cause deaths, the moment you start conning people, okay, you are into a criminal enterprise. Okay? Or the moment you say you can resurrect people, you can heal them. And
calling yourself Jesus?
Well, in Latin America, Jesus, there is nothing wrong with me giving myself that name, Jesus or Muhammad or whoever, you're a follower.
It's not giving yourself the name. It is saying that I am the biblical, I am the written Christ.
Yeah, but you see, that's the beauty of our Constitution.
Wow, I really love that.
The beauty of our Constitution is that's the Jesus of Tongoreni, okay, has the freedom of association. Okay, he has the freedom of expression. Okay, he can build a church. Okay, he can say he's Jesus. Okay, wow. Okay, people can debate him. Can say, this is blasphemy. I would be telling Jesus of Tongoreni that he has to respect the other faiths. He can keep his faith, but he should not
interfere with the other faith.
Yes, because he's annoying those of us who, believe in Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And what the Bible says about Jesus Christ.
So he should keep his faith?
Yeah, he should have his whatever, but he should not disrespect, okay, or fail to uphold and protect the faith of others. Okay, it's the same thing that I was telling you about my debate with Harrison Mumia. If you start attacking God in an abusing manner, you are going to get to annoy a lot of people. Muslims, the Hindus have many gods, the Christians, you can't go there. And that's Jesus of Tongoreni should have thought about that. And his wife Mary, if his wife Mary is supposed to be Mary, the mother of Jesus, you're going to annoy a lot of people. And those are the kind of things we should be watching out for. Okay? And maybe a guy calling him Jesus is probably, somebody who doesn't know better. But we should be able to debate it. Because our Constitution allows even the insane moments.
Wow. Now, ladies and gentlemen, keep subscribing to this YouTube channel. I just love sitting. You are the Chief Justice of Kenya, and you are seated on that mountain looking down. So I'm actually getting into your thought of thinking right now that people should just be allowed to practice whatever they want to practice, as long as it's not interfering with the rest.
It shouldn't interfere. We should all respect other faiths. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
And it's up to the state, the government, to make sure that in the exercising of those rights, we don't subvert the rights of others. That's what the Constitution says.
Okay.
Because when you say you're an atheist and then you spend your time attacking
other religions.
Yes.
Or other different thoughts of thinking. Yeah.
Yes, because they have the right to have that faith. So the Constitution says you protect, uphold, and defend their faith.
Okay.
Not to attack. And that's the argument I'm using against Jesus of Tongoreni.
Okay.
He knows very, very well what he's doing by calling himself Jesus and that he has come back.
So you want to start that interfaith church. What is your plan about it? Is it a church or an organization, an institution?
I think it's just a space.
It's a space.
Because once you call it a church,
you're already affiliated.
You are already leaving other people out. So the interfaith, if it's the interfaith shrine or if interfaith space, it means everybody can come, whatever faith, and then discussion can happen. And the idea here is to do exactly what I'm saying, breathe life into the provisions of the Constitution that say in the preamble that we acknowledge, the Almighty God of all creation. Article 8 says there is no state religion. So we tell President Ruto, don't bring religions in State House. You can have your place where you can pray, okay? But State House is secular.
Is secular. On that
secular.
note, yes. I really wanted to ask you about that.
It's secular. The moment you bring in the evangelicals and other people, what are you telling the other religion? So, or when you say, as his wife has done, that she's using public resources to get religious warriors, use your own money.
Faith diplomacy.
They are called what?
The prayer warriors for faith diplomacy.
Yeah. But you see, that is again undermining the Constitution, which says very clearly there is no state religion. We don't have a state religion. The Christians are in the minority, in the majority, but they are not a state religion. They are not. And when the Constitution says that is, for obvious reasons, because once you have a state religion, that's how freedom of religion disappears. Okay? Because you end up with what is called theocracy.
Yeah.
If it's a Muslim with his Turkey, Saudi, Iran, and other places, Pakistan.
So in the position of the president, yes, he's a Christian. Yes, he prays, his family prays, but he should stick to his faith and let others also practice their faith and not make the country a Christian nation.
Yeah, he shouldn't. The Constitution is very clear. Nyerere was a very devout Roman Catholic. And in State House, okay, he had a priest. He had a place within State House where he could go and pray. Because if the president lives in State House, obviously he can choose his priest or his pastor. There's nothing wrong. That's a personal thing. But if we see some institutionalization, of a religion that is becoming like a state religion, that is very, 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 very problematic. Or this issue of that the State House needs to be, what's the word? It's discredited. Therefore, what do you do when you cleanse it?
That is your faith. That was their faith.
What? So go and cleanse your house and cleanse everything. Not the State House is a symbol of national unity.
True.
Okay?
Yes.
And it's not a big church.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
I don't know whether you saw Gado's cartoon on that issue. He had sketched the State House with the crucifix on top, which meant that the State House had become a church.
A church. No, it is not a church.
So it's not. And we've got to avoid this issue of saying that one religion trumps the others.
Yes, yes.
Or there is one religion that is closer to God than another. That's what Desmond Tutu has taught us.
Yes.
We don't play God.
Yes.
We don't say that our religion is superior to other religions. And that's where the tolerance comes in, coexistence, respect for people's faith and everything, okay?
Yes, yes.
And that's how you then go to the preamble and say, we are proud of our ethnic, cultural, and religious diversity. And we are committed to building a sovereign state on that basis. Diversity is not bad. Mm-hmm. It has never been bad. Mm-hmm. And it enriches, any particular country.
Very, very wise. That's a very, very angle, CJ. And looking at theological arguments that reinforce the vision of the Constitution.
Yeah.
You talked of debates. There are debates that come from different angles and different diversity. The diversities we have in religion. Yeah. There comes to a point where how can the conflict between theological principles and constitutional provisions be addressed and reconciled? And looking here, we're looking at for example, the LGBTQ issue. We're looking at the reproductive health issue, use of contraceptives. It has caused a clash between the Constitution and the religious bodies. Look at the abortion issues. Abortion can be legalized, but biblically or not biblically, religions will say abortion is illegal. There's also an issue about introducing, for example, sex education to school curricula. It will cause a conflict. So how do we bring this together to make these people still feel included but still protect the rights of people?
The Constitution has its own theology. So the religious groups and everybody have to bear that in mind, that there is a theology according to the Kenyan Constitution. And I've already given you a theology that African religions, atheists, humanists, agnostics, and whoever, are protected under the Constitution. Okay? That's the theology of the Constitution. Theology also of tolerance, respecting people's faith and people not playing God, etc., etc. Okay? When it comes to the issue of, for example, the issue of LGBTQIA+. A means a sexual, and plus means the categories of gay rights are still open. There might be other issues of sexuality. The courts, when you look at the judgments, particularly the judgment of the Court of Appeal, that gave gay rights organization the freedom of association, and that now has been confirmed by the Supreme Court. They used constitutional and theological arguments. You should read the decision of C.J. Kome when she was in the Court of Appeal, when she had that matter. Judge Waki and the Judge Mahandia, okay? They were quoting the Bible, as well as interpreting the Constitution, okay? So there is no conflict. What you need is what we call harmonization, okay? When it comes to the gay rights, in the Constitution, and there's still litigation going on and so forth, theological arguments will come in, all right? And if I were to argue in the court, I'll go there carrying Desmond Tutu's little book called God is Not a Christian, because it says that God is not homophobic. It says that even the gay people are created by God. There's only one creator. And that creator, we are created in his or her image. Okay, the Muslims don't give God any gender. They don't. Okay? Mm-hmm. So, and I'm sure we can debate whether God is a man or a woman. Me, I would say God is a woman, but that's a different debate. But there's a lot of the Anglican Church the other day was saying that they should make God gender neutral.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these debates still continue.
And yeah, they will continue.
But Desmond Tutu does dwell on creation, and saying we all created. And sometimes our religions are dictated by where we are born. Mm-hmm. Okay? And he says if he was born in India, he would probably have been a Hindu or a Muslim.
Exactly.
And he also goes ahead and says the God he worships is not homophobic. Mm-hmm. Okay? This is, in his book. It could be the personal issue of his daughter being gay, but I see his interpretation of the scriptures as a basis of great humanity. Okay, because if you have a sister and she comes and tells you that she's a lesbian, what are you going to do? Are you going to say she's not your sister? Are you going, if you are paying fees for her, are you going to say this is not going to happen? Are you going to throw out of the house? Okay. There are a lot of parents of gay people who are very supportive, of the rights, of their children. Mm-hmm. Against brutality because they are brutalized, against being denied health care, and those who have HIV are not getting drugs, and there's a lot of violence and so forth. Mm-hmm. Okay? Mm-hmm. And this is simply because you have great homophobia, in this country.
It is there. It is real.
It's there.
People are not open to the idea.
Yeah, they are not open to the idea. They say it's foreign, which is also debatable. But even if you say gay people are sinning, who gave you the authority to say they should be killed? They should be denied jobs. They should be denied health care. That's what the judges said. He said the Constitution says any person. So it means, all human beings. Mm-hmm.
What if it clashes with the religions, the religion aspect of it? It's causing a huge clash, and not specifically to the Christians only. It's causing a clash to the Muslim community, Hinduism, maybe Buddhism. Well, now, how do you defend when the Constitution is giving out its end of it, that is causing a clear clash with the religious bodies and organizations?
The religious groups that attack gay rights are playing God. When Pope Francis was asked about, gay rights, you remember what he said? He said, who am I to judge? He was talking about the story of Jesus, where there was this woman who was being stoned because she was caught in the act alone.
But doesn't the Bible condemn the act of homosexuality?
It's again, you have to be very careful. What people do in reading the Bible, they read it selectively. Okay? So you go to Leviticus, you quote there. That is a covenant with Moses, the Old Testament. But you have to go to Hebrew to get an idea of the covenant with Jesus. Okay? Who is the same person who finds people who want to stone this woman because she's committed adultery. And she asks them, she says, so who lets whoever has no sin
be first to cast the stone.
Okay? And the problem I find with Christian doctrine is because it's very selective. You know, you hear preachers talking about Old Testament, Israel, and so forth. For heaven's sake, there's a New Testament, and you read that book on Hebrew, and it says the covenant with Jesus is the one that trumps the one of Moses. So why don't they? It's an area where religious theologians and scholars and so forth have debated, all right? But the institutions are pretty strong. So for me, what I urge for is what? It's just a debate, okay? And maybe the interfaith should be talking about, about these issues, because there is a lot of playing of God, of people, imams and others. You know, there was a Muslim meeting. I saw a video clip of a young person saying that, gay people should be killed. First of all, how do you identify them? How do you... There are a lot of gay people who are closeted and you won't identify them. And allowing people to go that route of killing others, okay? Even in the Bible, where did you get the right to kill? The Old Testament, if you are a Christian, says, thou shalt not kill, okay? So, for me, I see, and this is what happened after the court, the Supreme Court said that gay people have the right of, the freedom of association, and they should be registered and so forth. And there was attacks from CITAM, there was attacks from the Roman Catholic Church, and others. But what you have to understand now, even within the church, within the churches themselves, the debate is going on. Do you know that the Anglican Church has a particular church in South Sea for queer people?
I didn't know that.
Okay.
Here in Nairobi?
Yeah. Here in Nairobi, there is a church called The Other Sheep, which believes that gay people are God's creations. Okay? And they need to be ministered unto. All right? So there's a development there, which is important, with parents and relatives basically coming to say, well, why should our kids be discriminated? Why should they be killed and so forth? Okay. There is even a court case on the intersex children, which says very, very clearly that they don't have to be, they don't have to go on operations and so forth. So there is a lot of stuff there that Kenyans ought to be, told about, which I think is important, and we use the Constitution, to debate it, because when this issue is debated, even the courts sometimes talk about gay, about same-sex marriage under Article 45. Association has nothing to do with, the same-sex marriages. The whole debate becomes, of course, fundamentally, one of faith, where people have been told by their religious leaders that gay people commit sins. So why haven't we criminalized adultery? Why don't we realize that even heterosexual men are involved in rape, incest, defilement, okay? And even some of these churches that are mouthing stuff about, about gay rights. Roman Catholic Church, what history does it have about sodomy and the way it's known, the way that they've dealt with children under their care? Okay, but I don't want to go to the hypocrisies, that I see. Okay, and for me, it's a personal issue because I was dragged through the mud of this debate when I interviewed for the post of Chief Justice. And people didn't accept that somebody can have many faiths. People didn't understand a CJ who said that he commutes with the ancestors, that's why he wears an earring, okay? Because they thought wearing a earring means you are gay. Even in Parliament, when I went there, Governor Barire was in the Parliament then.
I remember.
And she asked that question, and I always praise her for it, because that was the elephant in the room.
In the room, true.
That's what they want,
Do you want to address the elephant in the room right now?
Yeah, and I basically, when I was asked, I said, I'm not gay. And I explained, that I have many faiths, I fit in all faiths. African religion, I was a Protestant, I was a Roman Catholic, I'm a Muslim. But I go to synagogues and I go to temples. Okay, I regard spirituality as broader, than religion. And when I feel that I want to pour libations, because I believe my ancestors are all over the place, they didn't go away. That's why the graves are in the homestead. They didn't go there. Everywhere, protecting us and so forth. When I do that, I don't for once imagine that my ancestors are satanic. Okay? Because during my growing up, I realized that they protect, and it's concrete. So I explained that, but the main thing that I was also explaining is to say, if you are Chief Justice of Kenya, you are Chief Justice of all people.
Yeah, true.
Okay, so including the gay people. If they come to court, am I going to tell them, I'm homophobic and therefore, we can't deal with you? The courts have done the right thing, saying if they want to associate, let them associate. When it comes to the gay same-sex marriage, Article 45 is very clear, okay? Although people can argue that what that section does is very permissive, but that's for the courts, to decide.
What of the penal code? Wasn't the court's decision against the penal code?
Yeah, the argument here was to decriminalize, and to align the penal code with the Constitution. Okay? And that matter is now in the Court of Appeal.
Yeah.
And it will basically, get to the Supreme Court to be, to be decided. There are also other historical arguments that could have been used, because those sections of the penal code came to us via India during the colonial period. And they are based on Victorian values. Victorian values are so backward compared to the values of our Constitution. Okay? They're very, very, completely backward. And I think here what the gay community was basically saying is that with, those, particular sections, all right? There is discrimination. And some judges, said, when I read their judgment, it says they are assuming that gay people are committing crimes. But to commit a crime, you have to have evidence. How are they going to get that evidence? The Constitution doesn't allow anybody to come to my bedroom. How are you going to get that, evidence and so forth? Mm-hmm. These are things that have to be discussed. But for me, religion is the basis of humanity. Any religion is the basis of humanity. And if it doesn't reflect humanity, it's not a religion.
Well said. You even talked about criminality and religion. To finish up, what's your thought about cultism and the use of symbols, religious symbols in public spaces? Do they create a neutral space?
Public spaces as in...
There's some things that people can do, or symbols that people can use in public spaces.
Like what symbols?
Like what symbols? Someone would say, okay, I'll simply put it as like, what's the
yeah, that's a Roman Catholics.
Yes. What's your thought about the use of these symbols and even things like objects, images?
Tasbih and
yes,
for prayer. And,
yes. Do they create a neutral space?
What do you mean by neutral space? Because if I'm a Muslim and I have the tasbih of a Roman Catholic and I'm using it to pray, that's my freedom of worship.
Well, I really have to ask, there is the issue about cultism with the Illuminati. For example, the symbol they use, it creates a lot of spark. So I wanted you to touch about cultism and the use of symbols and objects.
You see, there are a lot of books on particularly Hitler and the swastika, and how freedom of worship, can be abused. That's what we were talking about. Okay? And I've said that I don't mind the state investigating, what these symbols are doing. Okay? Because if they are involved in criminality and they are not symbols of worship, because if they are symbols of worship, freedom of worship is guaranteed. And you cannot just go and tell a Muslim, don't use your tasbih, or Roman Catholic, or tell people not to wear hijabs, etc. Because even dress, it's a symbol.
It's a symbol.
Yeah. There are Muslims who cover themselves completely. You only see the eyes. Okay? And you have to respect that. I've had a lot of people say, why are these people covered like this? Okay? So why do you want to see a woman's face if she doesn't want you to see her face? Why? Okay? And that's why our Constitution says you can't discriminate on the basis of dress, which is Article 27. Okay? If somebody is overdressed, of course, suppose they are naked, there are laws against that, right? But I don't know any laws about people wearing hijabs or having these symbols and so forth. It's important, and we have got to give the state the role, as you said. When you register, who are you registering? Okay, are you monitoring, these people? What are they up to, and so forth? Okay, because you are right. These cults come from individuals. Okay, they start their own thing, and Why is the state just, monitoring politics and not religion? So we have the legal regime, the constitution, and our laws that once you register, once people leave the space of religion and they get into a criminal enterprise, then the state has to, to deal with them.
Right.
And you won't hear me saying, oh, you're interfering with the freedom of worship or religion. Because if religion becomes a criminal enterprise, you are conning people. You are using religion, to con people, or the messaging. Okay, you can interpret the Bible in a criminal way. Okay, and we have examples of that. We have examples of that. What has happened in Shokahola is a wake-up call. But I always say, a state that cannot protect our lives and our property is illegitimate. So to allow a particular cult to get to a situation where people die, okay? Whose mistake is that? If criminals are going to use religion, whose responsibility is that? Particularly if that religion results in death and so forth. For me, the law is very clear, the constitution is very clear, the role of the state is clear. Okay? And that's what we have to do, hold these people, accountable. Why is Raila? Why do I see photographs with Raila with Ezekiel? Why is Ndenge Mackenzie photographed with
First Lady?
Yeah, why? You start, asking those particular questions, and that's why we have no state religion. So we cannot have sacred cows, and the bulls, within the state that try to say that this religion is superior to another and so forth.
All right.
It can't happen, and that's why I think that there ought to be a space, and maybe we have started that space ourselves by this discussion.
Yes.
Where we debate these issues peacefully.
Yes. And
we emphasize the importance of respecting people's faiths and not demeaning those faiths, respecting, upholding, and protecting them, even if you don't agree with them. The notion that you own God should go, because God, Muslims say that God has no partners, therefore, which I agree with. You cannot just in the name of God, keep on invoking God's name to solve issues that are created by human beings that God has created.
All right.
You just focus on the human beings and say, you are stealing our resources. God says that is a sin. Okay. So get the hell out of here.
Thank you so much. That should be a parting shot. So you have a parting shot?
No, I think the whole discussion has many parting shots.
Many parting shots. Yes. Yes. Thank you so much. I would say you have very futuristic ideas that I feel in our current generation should be rooted into our society, so that people get to a place where God is not a Christian, and people get to a place where there is...
And God is not a Muslim, God is not a Hindu, is not a Buddhist.
Exactly. And we get to a point of inclusivity and tolerance. Yes. And that is what religion is about.
And the peace.
And peace.
Yeah, and there is no prophet, there is no... if we still, every religion has a role model. The Christians have Jesus. The Muslims have Muhammad. And look at the strife, the killings that happen in these religions. It's because there is no tolerance, there is no coexistence, and the divisions are manipulated by the politicians, and
Ladies and gentlemen, what is religion without peace? That is the last word.
Yes.
Until next time, thank you for subscribing. Thank you so much for
Thank
making
you.
time for us. You can shake your hand. Asante
Okay.
sana.